Okay, what's up, guys? So I'm gonna be talking about the different takeaways on the lecture, but also different takeaways on the peer lectures that we had, not peer presentation that we played a role. So after the lecture and also after watching the videos, when it came to chapter 9, we talked about motivation when it comes to, the ABA world, which is something really cool. And it's like, it's a little different than your normal motivation, is as he explained in the videos as well. Is, he gave us a more traditional view on motivation, but also an ABA standpoint of motivation and how it's implemented very differently. So, motivation, as we know, as a traditional view, is just something that helps us to get something done that we might not really want to get done. For example, say you love, like, a food is going to be a big thing here, because not only did he really implement that on his videos, which also gave me a good understanding of what's going on and how the different things of motivation are implemented, but also it's a good way to kind of explain it. So for example, say, hey, your friend was like, I'm gonna help you. For example, say, even the good example is like, I just moved not too long ago, and then my friends were helping me move, and I was like, if I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy y'all food, whatever y'all need, like, because I appreciate you guys. Then just having that, probably like, oh, it's a bit more lenient because nobody really likes to move, but just having that little, like, oh, if I help her move, then I also get food out of this, which is also, not only am I helping a friend, but I'm also getting food out of it, which is, it's a plus. Food is always a plus. Don't even play, because it really, really is. And so that kind of ties into the two different ways that he also targeted motivation, because that's my first takeaway, is just like the traditional views that he, explained about motivation, just to give us like a little definition, and just going into like the different types, which the two different types that he did talk about in the video specifically added and tied it a little bit in lecture. It's about it's I haven't written, I'm sorry, establishing operation and abolishing operation. What establishing operation is kind of like, how can I manipulate this to get the client to really be motivated based off this. And the example that he used was, oh, if your client hasn't ate all day, then food is going to be a really, really strong reinforcer. So which is really, really cool. And just for a lot of people, like, food can be a strong reinforcer. Certain toys can be a really strong reinforcer. Just like all those things in general, which tie into motivation. Because it's also like, oh, imagine you are having a long day at work, but after, you're gonna hang out with your friends. Whoa, you're really gonna try to stick it through, make it the best as possible, because you know what your reward's gonna be at the end. And so when it also came to abolishing operations, it's kind of the other way around. It's kind of decreasing motivation, because like he explained, it's not like, oh, if somebody ate a big meal, you're not gonna, if you try to use food to as a form of motivation, that's not gonna work, because they're full. Like, what are you gonna do? Food is not gonna get you anywhere. So just abolishing that, which ties into the motivation, because it's not gonna do anything, it's not gonna help by any way, but establishing, that's really gonna give you that motivation. You got something going on to try to, enhance that certain behavior, try to work on a more positive behavior outlook. And with those being said, he also just talk about applying different ones and just being able to apply those would be my three takeaways, like, just like the motivation, establishing, and abolishing. But those are really cool things that they tie to, which really brings me back to our peers presentation, because I think they did a pretty good job at when it came to talking about like the different motivation types and what really got the clientele to want to pursue something more than the other. It's just honestly talking about establishing and abolishing, because those are just really good takeaways from the previous presentation that helped me understand that too. But just also what technically is a good reinforcer, a motivator for something or a person as well, because motivation come in different strings, as he explained in the lecture. But our peers, not only did they touch on establishing operation, but also tying that with like frequency, duration, and just all that together was very, very helpful, which was very meaningful that they took out of the presentation, but also the way that they defined the different moments of motivation within the video that they had, within the presentation that they had picked, and what they described off of the peer-reviewed what, I cannot get my words, the peer-reviewed thing that they picked for their lecture. See, I'm all over the place. I do apologize. My words are kind of blanking out, but yeah, and I think that all just went really well together. I think they tied in the not just the lecture, but the video and their presentation very well together. It just made everything easy, because I know how I didn't think motivation was as complicated as it can be in the ABA world, but it really can, because it's not just one of those traditional views. It's more than that. But that's what I was able to take away the most out of it. Just made that understanding a bit more easier. So yeah, and I hope you guys have a great night, and great night, great day, all of that. So yeah.